hibernation in April, so about 3 months ago. They've been spending more and more time getting more and more portions of their habitat here. Does say 5.5 natural acres of habitat to explore. That is considered by right now the forest and the world of electric. The forest, the 2 ponds, the field, and their den on the other side of the bridge as well. They're also getting hungrier as the season progresses. When they first emerge from hibernation, they have pretty low appetite. They're eating only around 5 pounds of food a day. But as we move throughout the summer, they're getting hungrier, starting to eat more. They're spending more time foraging through their habitat, looking for foods that we offer them, as well as foods that they'll find out in their habitat naturally as well. Does anyone know what bears like to eat or be looking for?
Berries.
Salmon, berries, grass. Yeah, hearing pretty much all right answers here. It's not too hard to guess what they would like to eat. Bears are omnivores. They're eating both plants and meat. The reason is what we consider opportunistic eaters. So they're not really picky. They're going to eat whatever they come across. First in the wild, they're pretty laid back. They never want to work too hard for anything if they would have to. They're never going to invest too much energy in a specific food source if they don't need to. But about 85% of what they're eating is coming from vegetation, so they're eating lots of plants and fruits and veggie matter. They'll be spending lots of time in the fields munching on different plant species. You'll see them digging in the ground looking for roots and root vegetables to eat. Right now is berry season in the summer, so they're going to be going out to those berry bushes and gorging themselves on all the berries they can possibly eat. And then as we move later into the summer and into the fall, that's when they're going to start eating more protein. When the salmon runs start happening, they're going to head out to those rivers and streams. They're going to sit and then wait for fish to swim up and they can catch them and eat them. This is usually when they're trying to eat a lot of food to gain as much weight as they can to help them survive the winter. Here on Gus, we try and offer Grinder and Kula a diet that really reflects what they'd be eating out in the wild at that time of year. So right now they're getting lots of fruits and veggies. They're getting offered apples and carrots, sweet potatoes, some grapes and berries. They're getting dog kibble as a main form of protein every day, and also a way to even out and round out all the nutrients and vitamins and minerals that they need to stay healthy. That's what you can kind of see them digging for in the grass right now. And they'll also get a salmon or a meat about 3 times a week, and that'll go up to every single day in the fall once they're eating more protein naturally. When we offer Grinder and Kula the food that we provide them, we do something called scatter feeding. So we do our best not to feed them directly. What we do instead is we'll go out to different sections of their habitat where they're not hanging out, and we'll scatter that food throughout their habitat. And this is a form of enrichment. It helps keep them mentally and physically active and stimulated. They're going to have to use their senses that they would out in the wild to find that food. So it also encourages natural foraging behaviors. For these bears, they're mostly relying on their sense of smell to help them find that food. Grizzly bears and bears in general have some of the best senses of smell in the world. They can smell potential food sources from up to 35 to 40 kilometers away. So when you're at the base of the mountain, getting ready to do the grind or get on the gondola here today, they could pretty much already smell you coming. You might also be able to check out the front of their paws, and on those paws are home to some pretty long and impressive claws. Those claws are another really helpful tool for grizzly bears when they're looking for food to eat. They'll use them to rip apart rotting logs and tree trunks looking for insects and grubs living in them. Insects make up a pretty big portion of a bear's diet as well. There's bears in the world that have been documented to eat over 20,000 moths in a single day. You can also see the big hump on their backs between their shoulders. And that hump is a really easy way for us to distinguish a grizzly bear from other bear species, and that is fully muscle mass. That hump is their trapezius muscle, so it's making them really strong diggers. They'll dig really big dens in the ground to kind of burrow themselves underground for the winter and for sleeping, but you'll also see them use that muscle to flip over really heavy logs and boulders to get underneath them to look for food. They're a little bit too heavy to climb trees, but if they want to get to the top of a tree, they can either shake that tree or knock that tree down if it's small enough. Right now they're looking to eat around 15 to 20 pounds of food a day, but as we move into the fall, they're going to enter something called hyperphagia. This is the pigging out stage where they're going to eat as much as they can all day long to help them gain as much weight as they need to help them survive the winter. So we'll go from feeding them around 50 to 20 pounds of food up to 45 to 50 pounds of food every single day. And during this time, they're going to gain around 200 to 250 pounds, or around 100 kilos in body weight. So believe it or not, we're looking at these bears in their slim summer bodies. They're only going to get heavier from here on out. Grinder, the silvery one of the two, he's the smallest of the two bears. He's currently weighing in at around 700 pounds, around 310 kilos. Kula is the largest bear. He's weighing in around 770 pounds or 350 kilos. By the time they're ready to go into the den for the winter, they're going to be around 1,000 pounds or 450 kilos. It's usually just a bit heavier than that, a little bit lighter. The males also, they're going to start preparing their dens for their winter hibernation. We walk along either top of the habitat, you see a big green building in the far left-hand side of their habitat. That's their den, and that's where they spend the winter. In the fall, we'll throw in tree branches and grasses into their habitat, and they'll pull those branches and grasses into their den to make a bed for themselves. For these two bears, Kula's the hard worker. He's the one really making that bed, and Grinder's the supervisor. So you'll see him sitting and watching Kula, making sure Kula's doing a good job. He'll fix the stick if he needs to, but he's really letting Kula take over the hard work in that department. And then you'll see them become pickier as well. We might try and offer them a whole bunch of different types of food, maybe dip their carrots in honey as a little extra treat, and they'll lick the honey off and leave the carrot on the ground. We'll see this happening out in the wild as well. They'll grab a whole bunch of salmon from the streams and bring it up into the forest. They'll eat the head off one salmon and the skin off the other, leave the rest on the ground. It's just not good enough for them anymore. And that's usually when they're approaching their healthy winter weight, and they're going to start eating more fibrous materials instead. So they'll start seeing them eat like sticks and bark and dirt and mulch and wood and things like this. And this is going to plug their digestive system, prevent anything from coming in and going out, because once they go into the den for the winter, they won't eat, drink, or go to the bathroom for the entire winter period. In their den, we're still able to monitor them throughout the winter though, because we have cameras that we've installed in there so we can see what they get up to. Something that we've learned by working with these bears over the years is that grizzly bears are not true hibernators. So they're not going to go into a true comatose state like a real hibernator would do, that fall asleep in the winter and only wake up again in the spring. Instead, grizzly bears are dormators, so they're going to sleep for about 23 hours a day, but they'll still get up in 10 to 15 minute chunks and move around. We think this helps keep their muscles nice and active and engaged, so they don't lose any muscle mass or experience any muscle atrophy that would happen if they didn't move for about 5 months. So when they emerge from their dens in the spring, they still have lots of healthy muscles to help them survive that next year. We've also been able to learn quite a bit about what it takes to care for grizzly bears and how to keep them releasable. This information was really helpful for a wildlife rehabilitation center up in northern BC, established the very first grizzly bear rehabilitation program in the continent back in 2007.